we got one other segment that we want to go through here today, and it's common food myths, which I think
Ooh,
is a fun one.
I like this.
Yeah. So there's a lot of misinformation out there
Oh, yeah.
around food and what it does and doesn't do. So we want to bring you the truth of what food is. So
We want to bring you the truth.
I like that. Maybe a catchphrase or something.
Make T-shirts.
Yeah. So we found 5. Well, I found 5 myths. I'm going to
Okay.
present them to Kyle.
Okay.
And Kyle's going to tell me why they are myths.
Okay. So
Okay.
they are. They are myths.
They are myths.
Okay.
Another segment we'll do truth or myth, and
Oh, I
we'll
like
let you
that.
figure that out.
Okay, I like
but these
that.
are myths. We
Okay.
want to break down the walls here
Got
to
it.
start. So the first myth that we have here is that carbohydrates
Mhm.
are bad for you and they should be avoided at all times. What do you think of that?
Well, the keto community will agree with you there. So, well, I mean, yeah, the keto community will agree with you, but I'm not. I'm not a big keto guy. So, all carbs are not bad. Absolutely not. So, all I'll start off by saying all calories are not the same. So a lot of people think, oh, the calories in this bread and the calories in this broccoli are the same. Like if they're the same amount or whatever, they're the same. It's calories are calories, but that's not the case. And the same thing can be said about all carbs are not the same. The carbs in, again, white bread are not the same as carbs in this apple. Because carbs in this white bread, like we just talked about, it has refined wheat flour, it has vegetable oils, it has added sugar in it. So those are all things that are not so good for your health, but it also has, I don't know, we'll say, I'm making this up, 10 grams of carbs per that. Okay, here's this apple. Also has 10 grams of carbs, but guess what? It doesn't have any of the refined wheat flour. It doesn't have any of the vegetable oils or the added sugar. It has, what does it have? It has vitamins, minerals, and fiber that go along with it. So I think the same thing can be said. Not all calories are the same. Not all carbs are the same. There definitely are some carbs that I don't recommend you eat, but that's not to say all carbs are bad.
Not all carbs are bad.
Not all
And I
carbs
guess
are bad.
on that thought makes me think about people that count calories or count carbs. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it can be beneficial. I'm not saying counting calories is totally useless. My problem with counting calories and counting carbs is when people continue to eat the processed junk food, but then they're counting their calories. So they're like, oh, I want to lose weight. I'm going to start counting my calories. So now instead of getting whatever it is at McDonald's, I don't know, instead of getting a Big Mac at McDonald's, I'm going to get the quarter pounder because it's less calories or something. It's like, it's still garbage food.
Yeah.
So I'm not against counting calories or counting carbs. I think it can be beneficial, but in my opinion, you should stick to the more real food and not the processed garbage.
Yep. It reminds me of a story that went viral a while ago with Michael Phelps when it came out that he was consuming 10,000 calories a day and everyone lost their mind.
Yeah.
That's an absurd amount of calories. But 2 things. One is he swims all day,
Yeah.
which he burns calories. But 2, the calories he was eating isn't McDonald's.
Right.
It's not treats and candy. He's eating the good calories, the calories we talk about.
Real food.
Yep.
Most likely.
Exactly.
Yeah. How many calories does do you know how many calories
2,000
the
to
average
3,000.
person? Really?
Yeah. So
Oh,
Michael Phelps was
wow.
eating five people's worth of food.
Oh,
in a day.
wow.
Yeah.
Wonder how many calories I consume a day. I've never counted calories,
No?
never counted carbs, never counted anything.
Yeah.
I just go by my body. Do you?
I've done it at once. I almost lied there. I've done it. Because
How long did you do it for?
a few months.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I heard that in order to lose weight, you need to be in a caloric deficit. That's
Yeah.
like what everyone says.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, easy
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah.
So I'll just count what I eat and I'll count how much I was burning
Yeah.
to stay at a caloric deficit in order to lose weight. But I think the problem there, it might not be a bad thing to count calories like you were saying, but it changes your mindset with how you approach food and it's restrictive instead of what I think we're trying to get at is just choosing the right foods
Yeah.
rather than restricting what you can and cannot eat.
Yeah.
We want to create a good relationship with food,
Exactly.
not a bad one.
Yeah.
So that's my problem with it.
And that's, yeah. And Did it help you lose weight? When was this?
I was in college.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I was already pretty fit.
Yeah, I was gonna say when would you try to lose weight? I don't remember you ever being heavy.
No, I thought it would be cool. I got really into
Oh,
weightlifting, and I
gotcha.
was like, I always want to cut and
Oh,
cut,
okay, gotcha,
and so
gotcha.
that's what I decided to do.
Gotcha. That you made me just think of something. Like, I think a lot of people that do see my content and don't actually follow me, and they just see like one video, they just think I'm food shaming and fear mongering, and I get comments from people normally on TikTok, not as much on Instagram, but people say, "Oh, like you're teaching people to have such a bad relationship with food." That's not what I'm trying to do at all.
Right.
Obviously, I'm just trying to help people make better choices.
Yeah,
But
education.
yeah,
Yep, educate
So.
people. I like it.
just a thought.
Yeah. All right, so that's our first myth.
Okay, yeah.
Carbs are not necessarily bad for you.
Don't fear carbs.
Don't fear carbs. Myth number 2,
Just make sure they're coming from the right
carbs.
carbs. Yeah.
There we go. The
Yeah.
right carbs.
Yeah.
Myth number 2, eating fat
Mm,
will make you fat.
mm,
Thoughts?
mm. I mean, it's kind of similar to the whole carb thing. Not all fats are created equal. We learned earlier that the polyunsaturated fats in vegetable oils are not the same as the monounsaturated fats and the saturated fats in other types of oils. So I think one of the reasons that fat is so many people are afraid of fat and they think fat makes you fat is because on a per gram basis, fat has the most amount of calories than carbs or sugar. So that's one of the reasons people fear fat. Also, the whole saturated fat thing, people think it's bad for your heart health and cardiovascular health and things like that. But yes, fat does have the most calories, but fat is also the most satiating. So it's going to fill you up, unlike carbs and sugar, which are just going to leave you going back for more and more and leave you eating more and more and more. Whereas fat, you're actually going to get satiated from it.
Yep.
So I think that's one of the big things. And we're not going to get into this whole saturated fat thing now, but there was actually a study done in 2010 that showed no correlation between saturated fat, intake of saturated fat, and an increased risk of cardiovascular disease or heart disease. So I think that's one of the main reasons people fear fat. But really, I mean, it gets back to the same point I was making before. All fat is not created equal. You have to get the right types of fat, like butter, coconut oil, ghee, beef tallow, avocados, eggs. Fatty fish is another great source of fat. These are all good omega-3 fats, which are good for our body, good for our brain, good for our cells, anti-inflammatory. But yeah,
Okay, so the good fats is what we're going for.
good fats.
This was one of the biggest things that I learned,
Mhm.
I think, from you is the idea that fats can be good. I had this myth in my head that avoid fats, they're just not good for you.
Where'd you hear that?
I think it's just something
Just
you
from people?
learn. I don't know.
That's what I was trying to think, because I honestly never really heard that fats are bad until I would get questions about it or comments from people. Like, isn't saturated fat bad? Isn't fat bad? Isn't it going to make you fat? Isn't it going to do this and that? I'm like, I had to dig into, like, why do people think this way?
What'd you find?
Well, there was a big rigged study back in 1990s, I want to say.
This goes back.
Yeah, by it was something to do with Harvard. I did a video about this. There was this study done where these Harvard scientists were actually paid off. So they did this study, and they found that sugar is what makes people gain weight. They were testing all these different things. I think they were testing sugar, carbs, and fat, and they found that sugar was the culprit. Sugar, the excess intake of sugar is what makes you gain weight. But they were paid off. I don't know exactly by who, but they were paid off to basically switch the results and say that fat is the culprit. Fat makes you fat. So that's what we based like our dietary guidelines on for a very long time. Yeah, so I think that was one of the main reasons that I found. Also, fun fact, I don't know which organization, some governmental organization, they used to recommend limiting the amount of saturated fats, where now they say there's no limit.
No limit.
Yeah, like you
The
can
limit
eat,
does not
you,
exist.
yeah, you can eat as much as you want.
Yep.
Because they realized they were wrong.
Yep.
Yeah.
There you go.
So, maybe I can link that study in the description or something. But yeah, that was one of the main culprits that I found.
Yep. You never know where the studies are coming from. It's
No.
important to know who's funding them a lot of
That's
times.
a huge point.
Yep.
You got to know who's funding the studies.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah, because these big food corporations, they fund a lot of these studies that tell you, oh, sugar's not so bad for you.
Yeah. Big sugar.
Yeah, big sugar.
Big sugar.
This guy knows.
Yeah. But the point on fats that we'll just close with before we go to the next myth
Yeah.
is the satiating point that you
Yeah.
made. Because I think that's a big one.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people, when they try to transition to healthy eating, will either limit their quantities or maybe eat just vegetables or
Mhm.
they'll replace unhealthy food with what they think to be healthy food, and then they'll be hungry 15 minutes later.
Yeah.
And if you add these healthy fats to your diet, I think you'll notice, as I have, that you're much more full. You're not looking for more after you're done with dinner or lunch,
Yeah.
and it's much better for you.
Yes. And look at you. You didn't get fat from eating more fats,
No,
did you?
still here.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. I think, yeah. And I'm always experimenting with my diet and trying new things. But when I did increase the amount of fat that I was consuming, I noticed how satiated I really am. I heard people say this, yeah, fat is satiating. You're not going to get hungry. But once you experience it, you're just like, yeah, you just don't get hungry at all. And yeah, it's a wonderful feeling not being hungry throughout the day because you can just do whatever you need to do.
Yeah, it's back to that positive relationship with food.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. And it leads right into myth number 3.
Look at that segue.
All right. So myth number 3 here is that
How many myths do we have?
we have 5 myths.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll
See.
go through these
Yeah.
a little quicker.
Yeah. Speed round.
Yeah, speed round.
All right. Skipping meals
Yeah.
helps with weight loss.
Mm.
What are your thoughts?
You talking like intermittent fasting?
Could be intermittent fasting or just, oh no, I'm trying to lose weight. I'm not going to have lunch today.
Well, I think it is it'll get the job done if you're restricting the amount of food you're eating and you're consuming less calories, then yes, in theory you will probably lose weight. You may also be undernourished if you start doing that though. You may not be consuming the correct amount of calories. So I don't recommend skipping meals and starving yourself.
Right.
If you're skipping meals, but then you're eating, good, high quality, nutrient dense foods, getting the amount of calories you need in your other 2 meals of the day. I only eat 2 meals a day. But I'm not like restricting myself. So I do like intermittent fasting. I think intermittent fasting has a lot more benefits than just losing weight. It gives your whole digestive system a break and a rest to kind of reset and do what it needs to do. I think the whole 5 meals a day, eating every hour, every couple hours, I don't think that's great in my opinion, just because you're constantly shoving food down your digestive system and it never has a break. So in terms of that, I think it can be beneficial.
Yeah. There's a difference between skipping a meal because you're trying to lose weight and skipping a meal because you're full.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
That's what Kyle's getting at there,
Yeah,
I think,
yeah.
is that he's full, so maybe he won't have a meal.
Exactly.
And the other thing is weight loss, just be careful with it, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe not make that your goal, but
Yeah.
maybe it's a side effect.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great point. Because I don't call myself I definitely don't know a lot about weight loss. I don't teach people how to lose weight. I just try to teach people how to eat healthier. And I think, like you said, that's a side effect of eating healthier.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right. Myth number 4
All right.
is actually one we already covered.
Okay.
All calories are created equal.
Oh, okay.
And so if you missed that, rewind 10 minutes. And Kyle talked about that already.
Yeah.
Okay. And myth number 5, our last myth today, is going to be detox diets and cleanses are necessary in order to remove toxins from your body. What are your thoughts on that?
I think there's a lot of different cleanses and detoxes, like you said, and different like programs and different things you can drink and buy. And I'm gonna be honest, I think most of it is just a gimmick. A lot of it's just a marketing gimmick. I think there are certain supplements and things you can take to detox, like activated charcoal and clay and things like that bind to these toxins, and you poop them out or pee them out. I don't know.
Hmm.
I'm personally not a big fan of them.
Yep.
I've tried a couple over the years. I never had a good experience with them. I'm not a fan.
No.
I
think they do feel a bit salesy
Yeah.
compared to just eating healthy,
Yeah.
which is more so what we want to focus on.
Yeah.
Which one, out of curiosity, which ones did you try?
Oh, I mean, I did like, I don't know if I like bought something specifically, but it was like, oh, I did a juice cleanse for like a few days.
Yeah.
And I just felt terrible. I was starving. I was tired. I had headaches. Like, it's just like, I just had very bad experiences with all of them.
Yeah. And you mentioned earlier you did a 24-hour water cleanse. Is this
water
different
fast.
than those?
Yeah, I'd say that kind of gets back to my earlier point about intermittent fasting and kind of just giving your body a break. There are a lot of other benefits to fasting. I think once you get beyond a couple days, like then you start, like you can get a lot of headaches and you can get bad sleep and all these other things. But yeah, I think doing a 24-hour fast every once in a while is a good thing. I can't say I do it often, but yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, those are our myths, our
Yeah,
5 myths
yeah.
that we've gone through. Hopefully we debunked those
Yeah.
for you and you're feeling good about them.